Poker Night 1 got a second chance. Poker Night 2 did not, and we might never get to see it again. When Poker Night at the Inventory first came out on Steam, it was weird in the best way possible. You had iconic characters from completely different worlds sitting at the same table, playing poker and talking shit, which was incredibly entertaining. With TF2 items as a reward for playing, it was the perfect incentive for Valve players to pick it up. So when it vanished from Steam, it felt like one of those hidden gems that was just gone for good. When I was a kid, I spent countless nights playing these two games instead of studying, and I learned how to play poker in the process. So, when I heard that Skunkape was making a remake of Poker Night 1, I got super excited. Nowadays, once a game gets taken down, you're pretty much guaranteed to never see it again. So, Poker Night's remake isn't just a remake. It's media preservation. That's rare, especially in an age where games are abandoned the moment they stop making money. Now, it's more of a remaster than a remake, but some of the mechanics did get a proper overhaul. The original Poker Night was quite a mess in terms of gameplay. Your opponents were only looking at the highest card in their hand, not both, which explains why I managed to win so much in the first place. However, gameplay wasn't the reason why people bought these games. It was the characters. And if you want to feature well-known characters, you're gonna need licenses, which might be slight foreshadowing of what happened to Poker Night 2. So who exactly are these licensed characters, and are they still as entertaining and relevant now as they used to be? No, not really. It's been 15 years since the original came out, and cultural icons of that age are nothing more than cliche nowadays. And yes, I'm talking about Tycho, whose entire shtick is being a Reddit moderator who wants to fuck giraffes. It's not surprising that most of the player base wants him skinned alive. Tycho comes from Penny Arcade, one of the most legendary webcomics at the time of the original Poker Night's release. As for the rest of the cast, we have the somewhat niche Strong Bad, hailing from the chaotic 2000s internet cartoon Homestar Runner. He holds up to this very day thanks to his charming overconfidence, the only thing a short king like him can have nowadays. Max from the legendary Sam & Max series of adventure games that were abandoned by Telltale in favor of bigger licensed projects. Silver lining, Skunkape bought the rights to Sam & Max and remade the original games. And last but not least, Heavy from TF2, who holds the biggest amount of cultural relevance nowadays. Although it is undeniable that Valve has moved past TF2 a long time ago and is working on more modern projects like Deadlock and not releasing Half-Life 3. In summary, what were once easily recognizable characters are now nothing more than shadows of their former selves. The cast of Poker Night is almost heartbreaking to look at rather than nostalgic. Speaking of heartbreak, what about Poker Night 2? This time featuring cosmetics for TF2 and Borderlands 2, so console players wouldn't feel left out. Sounds smart, until you realize that the ports were so horrible that the already non-existent console audience was reduced even more. Looking back at this decision, it's no wonder Telltale is 5 feet below the ground, when instead of improving gameplay and ironing out bugs, they spent their time designing half-ass ports so they could make more money. Thankfully, this wasn't the only thing they blew their budget on. This time, the cast features cultural legends, including Brock from the Venture Bros, Claptrap from Borderlands, Ash Williams from Evil Dead, and Sam from Sam & Max. Additionally, Valve's GLaDOS now plays the role of the dealer, and Mad Moxie from Borderlands is the barkeep. You were not playing poker with decently popular characters anymore. Some of these guys are mainstream media. These 4 pieces of media feel like real people trying to make casual conversation without having to entertain anyone, and that is awesome. Poker Night 1 does over-exaggerate its characters a bit, which isn't a bad thing, but these games are going for a very specific characters off the clock vibe, and Poker Night 2 nails it perfectly. Most of the criticism is based on Claptrap and his personality. He is super annoying and obnoxious on his own, but the rest of the table balances it out. In terms of mechanics, Poker Night 2 features an AI that actually knows how to play poker, somewhat, and you're now able to order drinks for your opponents. Why, you might ask? Well, it's actually kind of genius because it makes their tells much more obvious. Tells were a feature in Poker Night 1 too, but they were much simpler, only being reliant on the quality of that character's hand. Poker Night 2 is simply an upgrade, providing a smoother experience for most of its players. So why is it certainly never getting a remake, or even better, why didn't Scuncape release a version which contained both of these games? Licensing, but it's not that simple. Poker Night 2 came out at the peak of Telltale. The Walking Dead has just won over 80 Game of the Year awards, which instantly made Telltale the hottest studio on the block. Everyone wanted in on their project, so a collaboration with Gearbox or Cartoon Network wasn't far-fetched. If anything, Telltale seemed unstoppable. Having acquired licensing rights for popular franchises like Minecraft or The Batman, Poker Night 3 could have had such a crazy cast that it would become a mainstream game. To top it all off, Telltale was just relocating to a bigger studio twice the size as their original one whilst working on Poker Night 2. Everything seemed perfect until it wasn't. With all of these changes also came a huge shift in Telltale's philosophy, and instead of innovation, their episodic Your Choices Matter formula was just plastered onto every franchise with varying degrees of success. A few years of stagnation later and the studio had gone bankrupt. As of today, the fragments of Telltale are supposedly working on The Wolf Among Us 2, but hopes have dwindled after years of silence, which breaks my heart even more. Big B deserves better, but maybe they're just working on a Soulja Boy console port. Who knows? With an official statement from Telltale that Poker Night is not on their priority list, it is safe to assume that a remake of 2 or a new Poker Night is just not happening. The remake of 1 only happened thanks to Scuncape, another small fragment of ex-Telltale employees. These guys are mostly focused on remakes and remasters, so I don't think we're getting a new Poker Night from them anytime soon. These guys have nowhere near the budget or influence of the old Telltale, so dealing with expensive licensing rights for characters that are popular nowadays would be self-sabotage at best. All things considered, the fact that we even got a Poker Night 1 remake is a miracle in itself and should be treated as such. In a different reality, you're playing a hand of poker with Jon Snow, Lee, Steve, and Batman, but for now, this is all we have. And honestly, we are lucky we even got one back.